With an aim to repair strained diplomatic ties amid an economic crisis back home, the Maldives President Mohamed Muizzu is on a 5-day visit to India along with his wife Sajida Mohammed. Muizzu was accorded a ceremonial welcome at the Rashtrapati Bhavan earlier today, where the President and the Prime Minister received him. The Maldivian President also laid a wreath at Rajghat, and the big meet on the cards, the bilateral between the Prime Minister and Muizzu, took place at Hyderabad House a short while ago. Now, making a joint statement after the big bilateral, Prime Minister Modi said that India has always helped out the Maldives in times of crisis, referring to natural disasters, also talking about the pandemic. Muizzu has also invited the Prime Minister for a state visit. Now, in addition to his meetings in the capital, Muizzu will visit Mumbai and Bengaluru. This is so that he can participate in business events. His visit to India, which will last until Thursday, is being seen as an important step towards resetting diplomatic and economic relations. He's known for his India Out campaign that also made him win the elections. Muizzu seems to have now shifted focus to a Maldives first policy after tensions with India crippled his nation's tourism-driven economy that heavily relies on India. And the Maldives is probably seeking to gain financially, considering that it's heavily in debt. Crossing over to my colleague Srinjoy, who's been tracking the developments with this visit. We're crossing over to Srinjoy at this point. Srinjoy, when we're talking about the joint statement that's been made, one of the key takeaways is that Muizzu has invited the Prime Minister for a state visit. So that's something that we're likely to see in the upcoming future.
Yeah, the main thing as far as this visit is concerned is the fact that Muizzu is here at all. Because if you remember the time, let's say 6 months, was going to be a very difficult relationship with India. Because number one, his people, his junior officers had made fun of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. They had spoken very insultingly of him. They had sent back all the defense personnel, military use, but to basically take citizens of the Maldives who were very ill and unwell from one part of one island in the Maldives to another, and just for medical reasons. Now, that was how it started. Then Maldives actually realized that India is a friend in need. When Maldives needs drinking water, can you imagine a country which has a shortage of drinking water? And Maldives did have a shortage of drinking water. Which country was there? India. Then there was a huge resource crunch because of all these crippling loans by China. Which country supported Maldives at that time? It was India. So this is something they haven't forgotten. Now, Muizzu really is looking at 2 or 3 things. One, of course, continued what is called quote unquote development assistance, which is in essence grants or loans at low interest. And that is something India will happily do. The second thing is he wants more tourists from India to move to travel to the Maldives. Now, as you know, a lot of tourists had stopped going to the Maldives from India. Now that process has probably begun now. He wants to it to start now. These are 2 things, and that 2 countries that are really, in a sense, neighbors need to work on. So all those things are there, but it's important to note the fact is actually significant, because there was a time, perhaps 6 months ago, when it didn't look like India and the Maldives would have a good relations for the next 4 or 5 years. Because keeping also in mind Maldives statement, Muizzu's statements before the election, this get he made before the elections, were not very liked in India. But the fact that he's here, the fact that he's met Prime Minister, the fact that, as you rightly said, invited the Prime Minister, is a sign that the 2 countries are moving in the right direction, and both countries are very happy about it.
Now, both countries may be happy about it, but how is China going to react to the fact that the Maldives is seeking to deepen ties with India?
Well, the Chinese uh, were told very clearly by the previous government given. And investments were not really investments, they were loans at high interests. And that was actually uh, bankrupting the Maldives. It was on
All
the
right, we'll try
verge
to re-establish that connection. All right, we'll try to re-establish that connection with my colleague Srinjoy at a later point in time and come back to this. But for right now, we'll be shifting focus.